For those who have ever been immersed in the sad but determined eyes of Rick Blaine in Casablanca, or followed the cold but charming footsteps of Sam Spade in the Maltese Falcon, Humphrey Bogart is more than just an actor. He is a symbol of toughness, understanding, and irresistible detective character deeply ingrained in the hearts of millions of fans around the world. We love Bogart for those roles, for the image of a man always standing between the boundary of good and evil, facing the complicated world alone. But have you ever wondered behind the silver screen whether Bogart really had the qualities of a real-life detective, or what secrets in his life contributed to creating a legend that we always admire? Let's explore little-known facts about Humphrey Bogart, not just an actor, but also a person whose dark sides and experiences can make us see him in a whole new light and understand more about that legend. Humphrey Bogart, a screen legend. Humphrey Bogart didn't just step onto the screen, he owned it. With his rugged face, deep contemplative eyes, and world-weary smirk, he quickly became the embodiment of the tough, unyielding man. Every movement, every line of dialogue from Bogart exuded an inimitable presence, making him one of Hollywood's most magnetic actors. He wasn't conventionally handsome, but possessed a strange, captivating appeal that kept audiences riveted. However, it was his roles as detectives, as self-reliant men in a perilous world, that truly propelled Bogart to stardom and etched his image into the public consciousness. Who could forget Sam Spade in the classic film The Maltese Falcon, 1941, a sharp, cool, yet principled private detective ready to face any danger to uncover the truth, even if it meant sacrificing personal feelings. Or Philip Marlowe in The Big Sleep, 1946. A mysterious man venturing into the complex labyrinths of Los Angeles high society, where the line between right and wrong blurred. Despite facing dark conspiracies and deadly temptations, Bogart's Marlowe maintained a calm, intelligent demeanor, and sometimes a biting sarcasm. Even his role as Rick Blaine in the iconic film Casablanca, 1942, though not directly a detective, still bore the strong imprint of a man capable of investigating and solving problems with intellect and experience. Rick was a bar owner with a mysterious past, constantly observing, analyzing, and making critical decisions, displaying a keenness and deep insight into human nature, not unlike a detective unraveling a major case of his own life. Bogart didn't just act detective roles, he lived them. Through each character, he created an archetype for the cinematic detective, hardened, yet principled, intelligent, but not showy, and always carrying a distinct solitude. It was the authenticity in how he portrayed these characters that made audiences believe that beyond the screen, Bogart must have possessed some detective qualities in his true self. Untold truths about Bogart. Having seen Bogart loom large on screen as a detective, it's now time to turn the pages of his private life, where the real Humphrey Bogart reveals unexpected facets. Interestingly, his life began in a very different place than the dark alleys or smoky bars seen in his films. Humphrey DeForest Bogart was born in 1899 into an upper-class family in New York City. His father, Belmont DeForest Bogart, was a well-known surgeon, and his mother, Maud Humphrey, was a successful magazine illustrator. She even earned more than his father. This intellectual and affluent family background provided Bogart with a comfortable childhood, a stark contrast to the hardened street tough he often portrayed. However, strict upbringing and high expectations from his parents created a complex relationship. Bogart from a young age showed a rebellious streak, with little interest in formal education. In reality, Bogart's youth was not as smooth as one might imagine for a wealthy young man. He was expelled from the prestigious Phillips Andover Academy, an esteemed private school, due to his defiant attitude and perhaps lack of discipline. Afterward, he joined the U.S. Navy during World War I, a period that forged Bogart through real and harsh experiences. It was during this time that he acquired a distinctive scar on his upper lip from a shrapnel wound, a characteristic that later became an essential part of his cool screen persona. The period before entering cinema was a string of odd jobs, from selling bonds to theater work, accumulating diverse life experiences that later became invaluable material for his roles. Could it be that the encounters and observations during this wandering period inadvertently honed his ability to read people and situations, a necessary quality for any detective? Bogart's personal life was also tumultuous, with 4 marriages. But it was his final marriage to actress Lauren Bacall, 25 years his junior, that was truly his destiny. Bogey and Bacall became one of Hollywood's most powerful and iconic couples, sharing a passionate love and rare chemistry, not just on screen, but in real life. Through this relationship, a contemplative, sometimes hot-tempered, but also deeply loving and loyal, Bogart gradually emerged. Outside of work, Bogart was a rather private man. He loved sailing, seeing it as a way to escape Hollywood's glare and find peace. He was also an avid chess player, often challenging anyone willing to accept. Don't forget that chess requires strategic thinking, the ability to analyze situations and anticipate an opponent's moves, qualities not unfamiliar to a talented detective. Reading was also a great passion, indicating an intellect constantly seeking and learning. Could these seemingly simple habits and hobbies have been crucial pieces subtly developing his deductive reasoning and keen observational skills? The pains that shaped a legend. Behind the cool exterior, deep-set eyes, and world-weary smirk, Humphrey Bogart carried more than a few of life's scars. Though born into a privileged background, his childhood was far from a rosy picture. His relationship with his parents, especially his successful yet somewhat distant mother, created an emotional void. Bogart grew up under the heavy expectations of an aristocratic family, but lacked warmth and understanding. He struggled to find his place not only in society, but also in his own home, where he felt he didn't quite belong. Bogart's career path also serves as a testament to his resilience amidst significant challenges. Before becoming Sam Spade or Rick Blaine, he spent decades toiling in supporting roles, often portraying ruthless gangsters or one-dimensional villains. His image was typecast, and breaking free from that shadow required extraordinary willpower. The feeling of being undervalued and constantly having to prove himself in Hollywood's fiercely competitive environment forged him into a man who never backed down. He understood the harshness of the world, where success wasn't easily attained and often came at the cost of sweat tears and sometimes humiliation. And perhaps the most painful aspect was his tumultuous personal life. Before finding peace with Lauren Bacall, Bogart's 3 previous marriages were sorrowful chapters. Especially his 3rd marriage to actress Mayo Method, dubbed The Battle, where heavy drinking and jealousy transformed love into endless arguments. They loved each other fiercely, but also hurt each other deeply, leaving lasting scars on Bogart's soul. These breakdowns and emotional pains turned him into a solitary man, understanding the fragility of happiness and the devastation of loss. But the greatest tragedy struck in his final years. Heavy smoking and drinking habits took a severe toll on the legend's health. In 1956, he was diagnosed with a ruthless esophageal cancer. The image of a strong, unyielding Bogart on screen now struggled with terrible physical pain, becoming gaunt and weak. His impending death at age 57 was a harsh reminder of life's finite nature, no matter how great one might be. His final months were a silent, profoundly sorrowful battle, a battle no detective could win. It was these profound sufferings, the lack of familial affection, the struggling years of his career, the broken marriages, and the tragic fight with illness that shaped Humphrey Bogart. They weren't just sad chapters in his biography, but a forging fire that tempered him into an artist of rare depth. When Bogart portrayed a weary yet resolute Sam Spade, a solitary yet principled Philip Marlowe, or a Rick Blaine hiding heartbreak with a detached demeanor, it wasn't just acting. It was hauntingly authentic. because he had tasted and felt every nuance of loss, pain, and solitude. These very hardships transformed Bogart from a talented actor into a legend whom audiences loved not only for his talent, but also for their deep empathy with a soul full of scars. Bogart and the real-life detective. Now, the biggest question emerges. Did Humphrey Bogart, who so brilliantly embodied famous detective roles, truly possess similar investigative qualities in real life? Or did the storms of his life shape a perpetually suspicious way of living? While he didn't carry a gun or solve crimes, a closer look reveals interesting connections. Bogart possessed a sharp mind and keen observational skills that few others had. Though not for solving cases in his personal life, he was known for not being easily deceived. Many anecdotes suggest that Bogart could read people very quickly. He never rushed to judgment, but always took time to observe gestures, listen to words, and even the unspoken. His contemplative and reserved nature was a facade for a mind constantly working, analyzing every situation around him. This ability combined with his passion for chess, a game that demands logical deduction, anticipating multiple moves, and identifying potential hidden threats, honed his detective's eye on the world. Furthermore, Bogart's worldly experience and deep insight into human nature are also noteworthy. His life was not smooth sailing. From being expelled from school, his experiences in the Navy, to his struggling years finding his footing in Hollywood, and even his tumultuous marriages before Bacall, all forged a hardened Bogart seeing through life's complexities. He understood the darker side of society, knowing the tricks and deceptions that could hide behind a glamorous facade. This very experience helped him portray detectives with remarkable authenticity, because he didn't just act. He felt the weariness, the skepticism, and even the compassion of those characters. This is something an actor with only pure acting experience would find hard to achieve. So there was a special convergence between Bogart's on-screen detective persona and his true self. He wasn't a detective in the literal sense. He didn't solve cases or hunt criminals. But the core qualities of a detective: observational skills, deductive reasoning, worldliness, and deep insight into people were clearly present within him. It was these very qualities that helped him not just act, but live alongside his detective characters, creating timeless legends. He brought the truths of his own life, fragmented pieces from his complex past, to breathe soul into each role, making them incredibly vivid and compelling. Humphrey Bogart was more than just a talented actor. He was a legend shaped by his experiences, both his triumphs and his silent sufferings. It was the very complexity of his character, from his aristocratic background to a life full of turmoil, from painful marriages to his battle with illness, that created the haunting depth in every one of his roles. When he transformed into those rugged detectives, we saw not just a character, but a soul, forged through hardship. Bogart's legacy lies not only in his classic films, but also in how he proved that a hero doesn't need to be perfect to become an icon. He embodied resilience, sharp intellect, and a heart full of scars, qualities that made him one of the greatest film stars of all time. For you, what about Humphrey Bogart? The on-screen detective, or the real man full of secrets, left the deepest impression? If you love cinema in general, and the hidden stories of actors in particular, don't forget to click the notification bell or follow our channel for more exciting videos. Thank you for joining us today.